You already know that certain foods can fire up your erections and give you those mind-blowing orgasms you remember. The information is all over YouTube. Beets, watermelon, dark chocolate, oysters, and they're absolutely right. These foods are legitimate powerhouses. But here's the frustrating reality. Most men over 60 who actually try them tell me they don't work at all. And there's a very specific reason why the information you've been getting is sabotaging your results before you even start. I'm Dr. Avery Scott, and after a decade as a urologist, I've sat across from hundreds of men who walk into my office with the exact same story. They tell me their erections feel softer, their orgasms feel mechanical, and they're convinced their best days are behind them. Whether they're with their partner or handling things solo, nothing feels the way it used to. And honestly, I used to give them the same cookie-cutter advice every other doctor gives. Eat more antioxidants, try some dark chocolate, maybe some watermelon. But then I started noticing something that changed everything. The men who came back to me raving about incredible results, the ones experiencing rock-hard erections and earth-shaking orgasms again, they weren't doing anything dramatically different. They were eating the same foods, but they were eating them in a completely different way, at completely different times. That's when I realized the information out there isn't wrong, it's just dangerously incomplete. And today, whether you're making love to your partner or taking care of yourself, I'm going to give you the complete method that transforms these foods from disappointments into game changers. Hit subscribe and that notification bell because this is the type of raw practical information I share here to help men absolutely dominate their 60s and beyond. Let's start with beets because this is where I see the most confusion. You're absolutely right that beets are incredible for erections. The nitrates convert to nitric oxide, your blood vessels dilate, and blood floods exactly where you need it. The science is rock solid. But here's where everything falls apart in the real world. You're eating them cooked, which destroys about 60% of the active nitrates. You're eating them with dinner, so your digestive system is juggling 20 different nutrients instead of focusing on nitrate absorption. And you're eating them whenever you remember, instead of timing it for when your body can actually use them. My client's experience perfectly mirrors this. His name is Marcus from Denver, and he's 68 years. He'd been eating cooked beets with his meals for months, absolutely nothing. Then I walked him through the method I'm about to share with you, fresh beetroot juice. Consumed on an empty stomach exactly 40 minutes before any sexual activity. That's when nitric oxide production peaks, and your blood vessels are primed for maximum dilation. First time in 15 years, Marcus called me stunned because he'd experienced an orgasm that actually left him breathless. That's the difference between eating beets and eating beets strategically. Now, speaking of timing, let's talk about watermelon. Because this is where I see men make the most expensive mistake. You've heard it called nature's Viagra because of the citrulline content, and that's absolutely accurate. Citrulline is a precursor to nitric oxide, and the research backs this up completely. But here's what's going to shock you. You've been eating the wrong part this entire time. You eat that sweet, juicy red flesh and throw away the rind. That's completely backwards. The white rind contains 3 times more citrulline than the flesh. Plus, all that sugar in the red part spikes your blood glucose, which actually impairs the erectile response you're trying to enhance. This is exactly what I explained to David, a 71-year-old from Atlanta who'd been eating watermelon religiously with 0 results. I had him start juicing the rind, with just a small amount of flesh, no added sugar, and consuming it 30 minutes before intimacy. David called me after 1 week reporting erections he hadn't experienced in over a decade. The citrulline converts to arginine, then to nitric oxide, but only when your blood sugar stays stable and your system isn't competing with other foods. This brings us to dark chocolate, and this is where the advice gets really sloppy. Everyone tells you, eat dark chocolate for better sex, and they're not wrong. The flavonoids absolutely relax your arteries and boost blood flow while triggering dopamine production. But they're giving you about 20% of the information you actually need. Most men eat chocolate after meals with milk, or they grab whatever's convenient at the store. All of that blocks absorption and neutralizes the benefits. Then they wonder why nothing's happening. Here's the method I give my patients. 2 squares of 85% cocoa chocolate, eaten completely alone, exactly 60 minutes before any sexual activity. The flavonoids need that time to relax your arterial walls, and the natural compounds need time to trigger dopamine in your brain. Do this consistently, and most men notice their sensitivity returning within 2 weeks. But, and this is crucial, if you drink alcohol the same day, you're neutralizing everything we just accomplished. Following that same principle, let's address the zinc situation, because this is where men get completely trapped in their own good intentions. Zinc absolutely boosts testosterone and sexual function. Oysters are packed with it, and the science is undeniable. You should be getting zinc. But the way you're consuming it is blocking absorption and setting you up for frustration. You eat oysters with bread, wine, or cheese, all of which prevent zinc uptake. Or you take zinc supplements with meals that contain dairy or grains. Same problem. Then you expect immediate results when zinc deficiency actually takes weeks to reverse. This is the exact strategy I gave to Robert, a 59-year-old from Phoenix. Eat zinc-rich foods like oysters or pumpkin seeds on an empty stomach, paired with magnesium-rich almonds to enhance absorption. Do this consistently for 6 weeks. That's how long it takes to rebuild zinc stores and see real changes in sexual function. And finally, let's complete the picture with pomegranate, because this might be the most overlooked food for sexual health. The antioxidants reverse arterial damage, certain compounds boost testosterone levels, and the research is compelling. You're absolutely right to consider it. But if you're buying pomegranate juice from the store, you're drinking expensive sugar water. Commercial juice has been pasteurized, which destroys the active compounds you're after. Then they load it with sugar, creating the exact inflammation you're trying to eliminate. You're getting all the problems and none of the benefits. I walked James, a 64-year-old from Seattle, through the real approach. 1 fresh pomegranate daily, seeds, membrane, everything, plus pure unpasteurized pomegranate juice twice a week. After 2 months, he reported orgasms that felt more intense and satisfying than anything he'd experienced in 20 years. The difference is consuming it fresh and completely unprocessed. So here's what actually transforms your sexual experience. You were right about these foods. You just needed the complete method, not the incomplete information that's been floating around. This is about strategic nutrition timing, not random healthy eating. Fresh, whole foods consumed at specific times, not processed versions eaten whenever it's convenient. Understanding that your digestive system, blood sugar levels, and nutrient absorption all determine whether these foods actually impact your sexual function. Choose one approach and execute it perfectly for the next 14 days. Fresh beetroot juice on an empty stomach 40 minutes before sexual activity. Watermelon rind juice 30 minutes beforehand. Dark chocolate 60 minutes prior, consumed alone. Zinc-rich foods paired with magnesium, away from calcium. Fresh pomegranate consumed daily in its natural form. Track the changes: firmness, sensitivity, satisfaction. Most of my patients see dramatic improvements within 2 weeks when they stop eating randomly and start eating strategically. Now, if you want to experience these changes yourself, there are a couple of ways I can help you take this even further. First, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on, because this is exactly the type of information I share here to help men dominate their 60s and beyond. I'll be following up with specific timing protocols and food combinations that multiply these effects. But if you want the really raw, explicit information about masculinity, sexuality, and dominance that I simply can't share on YouTube due to platform restrictions, you need to join my Senior Men Club weekly newsletter. Next week's edition is going to explicitly reveal the best techniques for achieving perfect orgasms at 60 and beyond. It's going to be raw, it's going to be detailed, and YouTube would never push content this explicit. So it's reserved exclusively for club members. The link is in the description and pinned in the comments. Try these methods I've shared today and watch the difference for yourself. Then come back and comment. Which approach did you try? Which one worked best for you? And what's the most surprising thing you learned today? Your experience might be exactly what another man needs to finally get the results he's been missing. Remember, your body is absolutely capable of incredible sexual satisfaction at any age. You just needed the complete information instead of the incomplete advice that's been setting you up for a disappointment. I'm Dr. Avery Scott, and I'll see you in the next one.